Hey, welcome to episode 10 of the best episodes of Credit 101. In this episode, we're going to talk about the credit report error identification checklist that I created for the people that's part of the membership. Maybe you're already in a membership and you're actually watching this video now. And if you are already in a membership, go ahead and download it. It's down below. This is what it looks like. We're going to go over it now, but go ahead and download it below. If you don't have a membership, it's only $1 to get in for the first 7 days. And at the time of recording this, it's only $9.99 a month, like less than $10. And I have over 40 downloads. I just really want to make sure that people have their credit together before the new year. That's really the goal. So let's get into this identification checklist on your credit reports, because you need to find errors. So we already talked about the FCRA. It's so many episodes. We're going to get deeper into it, certain rights and certain laws and things like that. So since we already talked about that, I need you guys to know how to point out these errors or find information that could be wrong on your credit report, so we can basically put it in our dispute letter. You need to know why it's wrong or what could possibly be wrong. So let's actually get into it. I don't want to waste too much time. So this is the actual checklist. So let's go through everything that's on the checklist. So the first thing is personal information. Make sure that your name is spelled correctly. If you guys see additional names on your credit reports, maybe you'll see that when you get your credit report for Identity IQ, you will see that for Experian, they got 4 different names for you. You want to make sure that they have your name exactly how it is on your ID, on your credit report, your address. And then once you have that done, with any of these errors right here, you have to call the credit bureaus and correct it. So once you have these done, go ahead and start checking them off. And then you can circle to what you need to call about or put a date next to it. But you need to make sure you're really checking this off, guys. That's why I want you guys to actually download this. Don't just look at it like you need to use this for real and check it off. Make sure your credit report is good. So we talked about the name. Now with the address, you need to make sure that you have your current address on there and any previous address. I'll say if you didn't have any negative accounts on there, yeah, it can possibly stay on there. But any of those unknown addresses, or if you had negative accounts on certain addresses, maybe you need to get those addresses removed from your credit reports. You really just need that one address, honestly. And all additional addresses, call the credit bureaus. And if it's an unknown address, say, hey, I have an address on here that's not even mine. It shouldn't be on my credit report. And they should remove it right then and there. Now, Experian will give you a problem if you guys, they'll give you a problem if you have accounts tied to that address, but definitely call them to remove it. Social security number. Is the last 4 digits of your social security number accurate? Maybe they have a different social security number. Maybe they have multiple ones on there. Make sure you call them to get this stuff corrected. Your date of birth, is that correct? The month, year, and the day. Okay, so make sure this is correct. Sometimes a month and a year is correct, but they don't have the correct day. But that needs to get corrected, so correct that. And then your employment, is your current employer listed correctly? Also, sometimes you may have previous employers on there. You may want to just call them to get that removed. And you can still call. Let me look at y'all when I tell y'all this, because this is big and I don't know if this is necessary. Some people, if you guys are trying to, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. Let me say it this way then. If you guys have garnishments, if you're gonna get garnished, maybe you don't want to have your employer on your credit report because they can sue you. They'll know your employer. They can literally pull your credit report and know exactly where to sue you. That's what I was going to say. I'm not going to go into detail on that, but just maybe you want to call them and ask them to remove your employer. Not saying any reason why it should. Just say, hey, I see this on there too. I want to have it removed. You could possibly say it like that. But if y'all know y'all finna get y'all wage garnished, y'all going through all these different things, and maybe y'all need to remove y'all employer, seriously, because that's how they're gonna find out where you work at to even get you garnished. Okay, that's all I had to say. I didn't want to say it, but it's out there. The account information, your trade lines, is there any of them that you don't recognize? Is it the account status incorrect? Some of them may say closed when they're actually open, or some of them may say open when they actually close. Is the payment history correct? Yeah, they say your account is 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late, but do they repeat any months? Is there any months that's missing where it'll say 30 days late, 60, 90, and then the next month don't say anything, and then they go right to 150 days? Is it errors like that? Is the balance incorrect, or do you have any duplicate accounts? Now, listen, Our credit reports have to be 100% correct. So if you want to find out a reason why accounts should be deleted, find something. The balance is incorrect, or they need to correct it or delete it. That's the two options. And a lot of times they don't correct these things. So I mean, if you didn't correct it, you need to delete it. The payment history, correct it or delete it. And they're not correcting it correctly. So what should they do? They should delete it. Duplicate accounts, there's no reason for duplicate accounts. They need to correct that, delete it. I mean, correct it or delete it. Either or, like right away. Look at your bankruptcy, see if all of them are reporting the same. Because sometimes you may not know like the correct numbers that should be in there, or you may not know exactly like what's the dates of any of that, but you can see if there's errors across all three credit bureaus. So see if there is an error, like, oh, well, TransUnion says this and Equifax says this. Like, how is it possible when it's the same bankruptcy? Check the status of it, whether it's discharged or not. So that's going to be a big one. If it should say discharged and it doesn't, that can be a problem. You can have that updated. Inquiries, is any of them over 2 years? So you got old inquiries. You want to see if it's any inquiries you don't recognize, because if it is something that you don't recognize, you need to call them and tell them to remove those inquiries from your credit report, and make sure you have a freeze on your credit report for sure. Now, when it comes down to these collections, is there any collections basically that you don't recognize? Look at the last data activity on those collections. Look on whether it says settle or pay. Look at the amounts. Maybe they have an incorrect amount. So look at these different things. But the next step is make sure that you contact the credit bureaus about these different errors. We have dispute letters, and actually episode 11 is when we go into the actual summary and the guide. So it's a guide where I tell you like your different rights, such as you have a right to get your credit report, and this is the actual statute. Because I'm in school right now, basically, to make sure I become a lawyer for things like this. So I put certain statutes on here. So definitely use this guide if you guys have different errors. And then also episode 12, we're going to actually reviewing the errors on your credit report, going even further. It's another checklist that you guys can use. Maybe you don't like this one, maybe you want to use another one. And then episode 13 and 14, we actually have dispute letters. So if you see those errors, use the dispute letters to actually to actually correct them. And make sure you contact the creditor. But remember, you got to send a letter to the credit bureaus first. So we have to send a letter to the credit bureaus first. Then we can send a letter to the actual creditor or collector. So again, episode 13 and 14, episode 14 really got a whole package of letters in there. So I would just say go to episode 14, use that dispute letter, list the accounts, and put the reason. Remember, we said things on here, hey, the account number is incorrect, the balance is incorrect. Put that on your dispute letter and then tell them to delete it. Okay. So that's basically all we have to talk about for this episode. But this is our identification checklist. Literally, this is how y'all can find y'all errors, because sometimes y'all get overwhelmed looking at y'all full credit report. But if y'all can just literally look on here and just start checking stuff off and then handling what you see that's wrong, you'll get a lot of stuff done. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. If you don't have the membership yet, go ahead and get it down below. It's $1 trial for the first 7 days. And at the time of this recording, again, it's $9.99. So get in why it is still very, very low, because it is so much stuff in here. I know the price is going to eventually go up, but make sure you guys get in right away. And if you guys already have membership, download it. You're watching it now, just go ahead and download it and print it out and start checking everything off. I'll see you guys in the next video.